for me, it's bizarre to see that people are in shock. They genuinely do not understand what's going on. And I guess this is a problem which shows that the average person doesn't have insight into things. They believe everything at face value. And worse than that, people think that whatever is on their computer screen, whatever happens on the internet, is gospel. Like for instance, when I see a purple haired influencer, right? Like someone that genuinely identifies, according to them, like a leftist queer gremlin or some bizarre stuff like that, and they convert to Islam, the first question that I have is, why are they doing this? And there can be the answer that this is a genuine conversion, which is incredibly unlikely because you're trying to convert to a way of life that goes against most of the things that you have done to that point. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying it's highly improbable. But what it is more likely is that they're a TikTok influencer. Like, it's literally in the name. So what do TikTok influencers do? Well, they crave for attention. It's their job description. It's kind of like if you're a merchant, you want to sell more stuff. It really isn't that difficult to understand. So TikTok influencers, they crave attention. In order to get the attention, you have to do something outlandish. You have to do something that's really out there. You have to do something that either causes outrage or it gets people angry enough to share your video. And usually what they do is they look at other people because, as a content creator, you can be only this original. Like at some point, you have to look at what other people are doing and try not to necessarily like copy what they are doing, but put your own spin on it. And this is literally what's happening with TikTok. This is why you have all these trends where they praise the Bin Laden letter, or they're converting to Islam, or like they're doing all of these things. It's not because they genuinely believe in it. I mean, maybe some people do, but it doesn't really matter what they say. It matters what other people think of what they are saying. And if people share the video, that is enough. They do not care if people agree with the video. They do not care if people like the video or if people get something wholesome out of the video. As long as the video gets views, as long as it's being shared, it's good enough. And the problem is that we live in a society where outrage sells more than wholesomeness. Like if you happen to make a channel, a YouTube channel, where you travel around the world and you show wholesome stuff and you're doing wholesome things, first of all, it's unlikely that most people are going to share those videos. You will get some views, but it's not going to be a lot. Secondly, the production value is going to be incredibly high. You need professional cameras in order to capture all the beautiful places that you go to. And it's not going to be that profitable. But if you make a video where you do something outrageous, where you upset people, where you offend people, where that video gets shared a lot. Now the thing with TikTok is that it's not a natural environment. That this is not how people normally behave in the real world. And this is due to the fact that it has strict terms of service. Like people behave in the way the corporation allows them to behave. There are certain things that you are not allowed to do on TikTok. Like for instance, if I was a comedian and I wanted to start a TikTok channel where I make the same jokes that you have in South Park Season 1, I would immediately get terminated. Even though that content would be insanely popular. Like if I was to do a little bit of racismus, it would get shared. But then you'd have the journalists and the academics. It's like, how does TikTok allow? Why do you allow for a Romanian to be popular, right? It's interesting because the current mentality is basically like the content creator is puppeteering people, and it's not the other way around, that people look at various content creators and decide which ones they want to view. But my point is that while being offensive on the internet sells, and while being offensive on the internet is going to give you clicks, there is one type of offense that is allowed, that is permissible, and then there are other types of offenses that are being suppressed. And unfortunately, the corporations and the advertisers decide this through TOS. So usually, you're going to see a lot of teachers, like Libs of TikTok, for instance, is the perfect example, where she goes on TikTok and she gets the most offensive things. Like, she finds stuff that people willingly puts out there by their own volition. Like, no one is forcing them to put them out there. And all she does is, without even editorializing most of the time, she's just putting it on her Twitter feed. And that is the example of the offense, of the outrage that you are allowed to show. Now, in this case with people converting to Islam, maybe some of these conversions may be legit and they're done out of ignorance and lack of understanding of what Islam is. Most of them happen to be not because they find Islam and they are impressed by the beauty of it or they like the community. No, it's usually that they have disgust towards the West, right? They have disgust towards capitalism, towards America, towards these things. And in order to show how disgusted they are, they're like, well, I'm converting to this completely different culture without actually understanding what the culture is. Like, if you go to an imam and you say that you're a leftist queer, I don't think that imam is going to react positively to that news. Meanwhile, the Catholic Pope has recently had an event where he invited transgender people at the Vatican. Right? So one religion is actually permissible and tolerant, and it is more in line with the virtues and the values of TikTok, while another religion, let's just say I wouldn't encourage Queers for Palestine to actually visit Palestine during peacetime. It may not go very well, let's put it like that. And I think they know as well. But what I also know is that if they say that they support this cause, they're going to get standing ovations from their friends. It's the trendy thing to do within the current month. The flavor of the month is the fashion, if you will. Yes, woke ideology is pretty much like fashion. It's like this year, miniskirts are in fashion. Next year, we're going to have long skirts or whatever, long dresses. It's all about the fashion. And it's a political ideology literally based on fashion. They don't actually identify with the thing. Just like a woman who wears a miniskirt doesn't identify with the clothing, but she wears it because it's in vogue. Like right now, everyone wears it, so you have to wear it as well. But don't worry about it. Like next year, there's going to be something else. Maybe you're going to have baggy jeans or whatever. So this is how I explain this phenomenon. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will find you in the comment section. Take care.